What's going on, guys? George, aka Hooked on the Fly 2. I'm going to focus a little bit on some saltwater flies that could be used for freshwater as well. And one pattern in particular is double deceiver. A lot of guys like to use double deceivers, so let's not waste no more time. Let's tie you up a double deceiver. The vise, we have a Bob Clouser. This is the SA210 from Arex. I'm just going to put it in a lower spot on the vise here to get a better grip on it. Alright, for the thread we're going to be using a mono. I like using mono for saltwater flies or anything that I do with bucktail. It just works a little better. So I have the mono from Danville in .006. And all I'm going to do is coat the hook. This is a simple, quick fly. Doesn't take that long as we have everything available. All right, so here, since I have my mono done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Zap-A-Gap and I'm going to just put those Zap-A-Gap right on that mono. Now you could use GSP or you could use Danville or UTC thread, whatever you prefer, but I really enjoy using mono. I think it works better. For the hackles, I'm using the Deceiver patch from Ewing. So Ewing Feathers actually makes these Deceiver patches. This is the olive. If you guys are possibly interested in some hackles, definitely shoot me a message and I'm gonna just get started with this. So I'm gonna put a set of 2 right on top of the hook shank here, right next to each other. I'm gonna do a couple loose wraps and then tie it down pretty tight. And then I'm gonna take my other set. I'm just gonna match them up. Once they're matched up and they're sitting pretty straight, I'll put them right on top next to the other ones. I'll show you what I mean once I tie this in. They're sitting right on top of the hook right there. Not below, not above, not on the sides, right on top. If I'm doing 4 feathers, this is how I like to do it. It just creates a nicer body, and they sit perfectly on top, and they tend to, once they get wet, they get married really nicely, which they're not doing right now, but well, we could adjust them. But once, like I said, once they get wet, they'll marry nicely. And what I mean by marry, they'll come together in a nice fashion. So then I'll just take these stems, cut them off right there. For the body, I'm going to be using Silver Bill's Body Braid. I get the big spools because it just makes it easier. You can buy them in the little cards from a fly shop, but I like the bigger stuff, and I use this stuff a lot, so I just end up going with the big spool. Just bring it towards the back here, and just bring your thread or your mono forward. Bring your mono to right about here. You're going to wrap this, covering all of your wraps of those feathers. Now I just went a little crooked here, so I'm going to correct it and flatten it out. There we go. And on my third wrap, which is this one, what I'll end up doing, I'll pull down a little bit. Get it nice and tight and coat that hook nicely. There's a little drop here. I'm not too worried about that drop because the bucktail is going to be covering most of this anyway. So here it goes. This is simple, easy, quick double deceiver. Right there, I'll tie it off. And cut it off. And here I will just do a quick whip finish just to make sure I don't lose nothing. While that whip finish is in, I'll come in with a little zapper gap just to secure everything in there. I'll just go once, twice, that's it. Now for the bottom, we're going to do half and half on this. If you don't want to do half and half, you don't have to. But I'm going to take some white bucktail for the bottom and olive bucktail for the top. And with the white, I want to go a little shorter than the olive. So pick out your bucktail and then pick out all the shorts out of there. Just pull them out. Like I said, you don't need to go heavy on this. There it is. So this is going to be our belly. So I'll flip the fly upside down. Cut this straight. I don't like to cut it on an angle. I cut it straight. Place it right there. And then you could move it around after 2 or 3 turns are in. Then you could move it around. Once you have it in there, lock it down. Very sparse, very simple, easy to cast. You don't have to overdo it. So there's the bottom, there's your belly. And then we're going to come in with olive for the top. And olive is going to be a little longer, right? We want it to go into the tail a little bit. So we want it about yay long. Make sure you pull out your shorts. By pulling out the shorts, just hold the top of the bucktail and then pull out the little stuff. When you're working with bucktail, you don't want to cut off no more than an inch. This is about a half an inch to a quarter of an inch. So you could trim that straight, but don't go past an inch. Bring this in, 1, 2, and 3. Spread it out, spread the love a bit. Boom, tie it in and lock it in. See how nice and clean that head is? You don't need nothing crazy. And that's your, now you could go and fish this if you wanted to. But we're going to step it up a notch. We're going to put a whip finish on here. And one more. And we're going to add a second hook. So this is a size 2 hook. Add some Zappa Gap on here just to get that coated and fused up. Boom. Let's make sure we're still recording. We are. That's 8 minutes in. Alright, so we're going to get this put aside. And we're going to come in with a 2-odd hook. Same thing, SA 210 by Bob Clouser. I just like these because they have a nice long shank. And you could get them in the smaller sizes. So now that we have this in, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in and I'm going to coat the hook with my thread again. You don't need to make touching wraps, you just need something on the hook, just to get some texture on there. Once you have that in, hit it with some Zappa Gap. Alright, now that you have that in, we're going to come in with some 26-pound test. This is Surflon. It's coated wire, and I'm going to cut off about 4 to 5 inches of it. Alright, once we have that cut off, I'm going to take it and I'm going to bring it along the side of the shank here, almost to the front of the head of the fly. I'm going to start nice and easy. Keep the wire on your near side. It's easier to keep control of it. And if it starts going out of whack, just put your finger on it right there and just get it down. Side of the shank all the way. If it starts going under, just push it back up. If it starts going over, push it back down. Alright, now that you have it in there, now you crank it in and tie it in. Nice and tight. Alright, I'm going to stop my thread right where I tied the wire in. I'm not going to go any further because I don't need to. Now for the beads, you could do several different color beads. You could do 2-color beads, but these are 3D beads by Hairline. The local fly shop should have them. If they don't, you could always order online, but I like to go to a local fly shop if I can to purchase anything I don't have because it's nice to support local business. So I'm just going to put one. You don't need more. All you need is one. Now I'm going to come in with my wire, tie that off through the hook, and take it through here as well. Once that's on there, I'm going to push the bead back. I want to move my magnet out the way. There we go. I'm going to make a decision how far I want it back. So I'm going to do a loose wrap and a loose wrap. And now I'm going to make a decision. And I like it where it is right there. Okay, there's a little gap behind your bead. You have a nice enough gap here. This won't rattle crazy and it'll be nice. So now when I'm tying this in, I have my wire along the side and then I have my shank. But between the wire and the shank, there's a little groove. And that's where I'm laying this wire. So it's still on the side of the hook, but it's almost like creating a triangle with the wire and your hook shank. So I'm just going to take it up this way. Now you could take it through the hook eye if you want. You could fold it back. You could take it under, whatever you want. I'm going to take it through the hook eye, and I'm going to tie that all the way to the end of the hook eye. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it back. And I'm actually going to take my thread in the front. What did we do there? It snuck around. I'm going to take it in the front. I'm going to pull it up. And then I'm going to go forward. And that locks it in on both sides. It's not going to go nowhere. You still have plenty of room to put 40-pound test through that hook eye because Ahrex makes nice big hook eyes, so you don't have to worry about it. And then bring your thread all the way to the back here, just like that. Now you're going to take your glue out. This is Zap-A-Gap, and I'll just cover everything with Zap-A-Gap. Careful, don't put too much over your bobbin, because then it could go inside your ceramic or whatever kind of bobbin you're using. It could drip into there. So just be careful how much you put on. And then I'm going to come in with just a little white bucktail. And this one's going to go all the way around. So I'm an impatient tyer when it comes to Zap-A-Gap. So what I'm going to do here, so this is going to go just like that over the top. I'm going to take a napkin, whatever you got. I'm going to pad dry this mono, so that way there is nothing in there. And I just want it just like that, just enough to just cover the bead, give it a little bit of a cover up. And I'm only going to cover this about 3/4 of the way. I'm not going to go all the way around. There we go. Did it go all the way around? Nope, 3/4 of the way. I want it to go all the way around. I just want to get it nice and spread out 3/4 of the way around. Right. Go. It's not really going to cover the bead, but it just gives you the white look, so that way there's not a huge separation there, and that's all we're looking for. Just something like that. Okay. Now we're going to come back with some more silver body braid. When I tie this in, this bucktail in the back is going to get, so I just have my silver body braid, I pull it back, tie it in, and that bucktail is going to be stuck in there. It's not going to move. Then we're going to come to the front here. I'm not going to take the silver body braid all the way forward, but I am going to wrap it most of the way. Now, if you want to use your rotary portion of your vise for this, you can. I prefer to do it hand over hand, just because that's what I'm used to. Thought I skipped a gap there, so come in, just do that real quick. And I'm going to do something that's not traditional in a Deceiver, and I'm going to come in with some of these Ewing purples, lavender colors, and I'm just going to run them right along the side here. So I'm going to pick one from each side of the cape. There's one, and pick one from this side of the cape, and there's two. So I took one from this side and one from this side. Not that it matters, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to literally flatten the stem. If you get that nice curl in there, that means you flattened it. So I just used my nail to flatten it, and I'm just going to put that on the side. Tie it in. Just like that. And that will give you like a little, like a nice lavender hue to the fly. It doesn't matter, you don't really need it. I just did it. I do it once in a while just to give it extra color. You could do it with bucktail, but I'm doing it with a feather. It just gives you a nice little hue to the side of the fly. Cut that off. Boom. Come in with white bucktail. Now I'm selecting the bucktail from as low of the tail I can, so somewhere in this area for the front. I want a somewhat of a hollow fiber, but I also want something with a decent size on it. These are really good for hybrid bass, striped bass, smallies, even trout will eat these. You just gotta put them on a trout hook, obviously. So I'm just gonna butt up my ends here. If you guys haven't checked out the hollow video, why I butt up my ends, go ahead and take a peek at it. Not that I have this in. I'm just going to come over the top once, twice, 3 times. Now I have it locked in. There's a couple loose fibers. That's okay. And I'm going to splay these out. Make sure they're splayed out nice and even. Pull and wrap. forward and trap the rest of these white fibers in the front, just like that. We're going to stick this hook in here so we don't hook ourselves. And there's your white. Come in with your olive. This olive I'm going to keep pretty much the same length as it came when it came off the tail, because I want it to marry the other one. So see how it's coming together? It's a very slim looking fly. You don't need a lot of bulk to it. I'm going to bring my thread back. Go once, twice, 3 times. Now we're around. Now we could move it around a little bit. There it is. Pull it down. Cover up those butt ends. And you're looking beautiful right there. I'm going to take 1 strand of crystal flash here. That's all you need is 1 strand. And I'm going to run it along the side of the fly here. The split is about 50-50 because we don't need the whole length of this. I'm going to just come in and I'm going to work it back to where my thread was. And then take this back over and bring it on the side. Just like that. Tie it in. And then I'm going to come in with some peacock curl. The bottom tips don't need to be lined up, right? So I like everything staggered here, but I like to make sure that I cut off all these white ends when I cut this in. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to make it about yay long, cut that off, and keep it nice and tight. Get it down the center. So you already have a dark body on it from the olive, but this this peacock curl will just give you a little iridescence and flowness to it with a little bit of color. Now if you want to finish this off with some eyes, you could finish it off with eyes. I prefer not to put eyes on them. They're simple, quick flies, so that's that. And there's your double deceiver. Put some Zap-A-Gap on here to cover it up. If you want to do a little red throat, you could do a little red throat. I don't think that redness matters at all, but that purple highlight within the fly is really nice. So I really like that purple in there. So if you guys like this fly or you want to see something else tied, just leave it down in the comments. If you guys want to check out my shop, go ahead and check out my shop. We'll have the link in the description. Go ahead and give me a follow on social media, but I appreciate you guys joining. I'll see you guys next time.